main family relationship coach with Bridges and Stones Family Relationship Care. I'm coming to you from Costa Rica, from Limon. If you've never been, it is a beautiful, beautiful place of culture, food, community, rest, all the things. But how I got here has been an incredible journey, an incredible journey. And I thought I would just get on here and share with y'all. If you extract something from it that's useful, I definitely appreciate the likes and subscribes and all that. But really, I'm just here for community. Uh, one of the things that's really interesting is when you feel like in your life you're the caretaker of a community, when you are constantly giving to others, it's easy to deplete yourself. And that is essentially kind of the impetus of how I ended up here. For most of my life, 41 and a half years at the time, I had spent a lot of my energy in trying to reconnect my family, to reconnect my community, to strengthen it, to empower it, to help guide it, instruct it. I worked as a teacher, paraeducator, case manager, mental health practitioner, coach, big brother, all the things you could think of. And I genuinely loved it. I genuinely loved it. But a lot of that work was out of an incessant need to be in control over creating the world that I desired for myself. Now, this isn't a bad thing. I think it's something that all of us possess, the ability to create the world around us that we want. And I think most of us are doing it every day, though I would say few of us are doing it intentionally and consciously. But the other side of that is you also have to open yourself up to allowing others to care for you, to be a part of other people's world in a way that you can let go of the rope, that you can allow yourself to unravel and to feel and to be present and not necessarily feel like you have to be the one to make it better, to make it good, to make it the things that you desire. And I didn't know how to do that. For the most part, most of my life, I grew up with the mantra. My family used to say, God bless the child who has his own. And it was taken to heart all the way. Um, it was the idea that, your outlook was to be able to be self sufficient to the furthest extent. Essentially, hyper individualism. And in our society, in America, that's seen as a badge of honor. When you don't need people, when you can handle it all yourself, when you can figure it all out, when you can get it all done, uh, that is seen as, oh, you've arrived. You are mature. You're a man, right? You are responsible. You have a good head on your shoulders. You're smart. You're capable, right? All these positive attributes attributed to a very unhealthy trait, the isolation that comes from putting everything on your own shoulders. And I had done that for over 40 years, man, or close to it. And it got to a breaking point where so much was on my shoulders. One last thing that I never saw coming, which was a bit of a relationship betrayal. Not a bit, it was a relationship betrayal. And it broke me. I had nothing left. All the weight came crashing down on me, and I fell to the ground. I couldn't move. I found myself over the coming months. I believe the event happened in September, and between late September into October, I knew I was in trouble. I couldn't get out the bed. I couldn't get to work. I couldn't focus. I was struggling to show up for my clients. I was struggling to show up for me, for my daughter, for my family. And it was slowly deteriorating. Not, well, I should say, it was more of a snowball. And it kept going downhill and downhill. And randomly, I reached out. No, I didn't reach out. I had a mentor who I hadn't talked to in years. It's why you need people, right? He gives me a call to talk about something completely unrelated, some project he was working on. He was so excited about. He's like, "Man, I can see you being a part of this." And da 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 da. And I'm on the phone with him, and I'm like, "My life is over. Like everything has crumbled. Life is over." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Hey, let's talk another day, and let's dive into what you're carrying. I don't think this is the time to focus on my exciting thing. And we circle back and we talk, and he's like, "Yo, come out, come out here and stay with me." Um, if I'm honest and transparent, I was struggling with suicidal ideation, which is scary to say. As someone who is in the mental health, self care, caretaking field, right? We're supposed to have the answers. This is what you're kind of like groomed into, whether it's because of your heart for people or it's your education. Learning more about how to support others, learning more about how to care for those in need. And you get so inundated with playing that role, it could become overwhelming when life comes at you and your solutions don't change it, your insights don't fix it. And what that generally tends to do is to make us double down even more, right? Let me find some more solutions. Let me find some more opportunities. Let me go a little bit deeper into my practice. Let me read more. Let me study more. Let me consult more. Let me do more of the work. And that doesn't always fix it. And I had built a lifetime of stuff leading up to that period of my life, and eventually in this culminating moment where it all came crashing down. And when my mentor was like, "Come out," I knew that was my lifeline. I knew that was what I was needing. And what I ended up doing was taking that lifeline. I took the horrifying, terrifying leap of faith to hope that what I truly believed in, things that I would tell my clients to do, the people that I worked with, the families, the individuals to do, to love themselves enough to take the space they needed to heal, that they were worth it, that they were sacred, that they were worthy of being cared for. All these things that I would tell them all of a sudden was dead in my face and was like, are you going to do it when you need it the most? Are you willing to take the same journey that you have encouraged others to be willing to take in their own ways? And it was confronting, man. It was, but I knew I couldn't stay. All I was sitting was underneath a pile of life that I could no longer carry. And so I took the lifeline. And in January, well, it's like December 29th of this year, of last year, uh, I moved to New York. And I lived in New York, in my mentor's home. He put me up. He was like, "You don't have to worry about work. You don't have to worry about anything. Just be here. Just be here. Live, rest, heal." And I remember, getting this download as I was flying there, that this time was going to be a time for unraveling and letting go of the rope. Two of the most terrifying concepts I could think of as a black man, to allow yourself to unravel and to let go of the rope. Keep in mind, there was so much that I had to trust, that my daughter was going to be okay, that my family was going to be okay, that my community was going to be okay. But I knew that I no longer had it to carry it all. And I had to let go. I had to finally say, I need to heal. And it's not to say that I wasn't in my own healing journey. I definitely was, for probably the last 7 years, just being in intentional healing. But there was some deeper work. There were some issues in the foundation of my life, and how I lived, and the different ways in which I navigated my own care and self-love practice. There were some things, some narratives that I had adopted and believed from childhood that were shaping my everyday decisions, my relationships, how I showed up in community, things that I just didn't see or was unable to process and work through. And it was time for me to heal. And so I spent the next 6 months, all of January, February, March, April, May, and June, in New York, in a silo, with people who loved me. My mentor, God, he's like a second father. and the way that he just showed up in care and love and support, and provided me the space to cry, to be silent, to sleep in, and just rest. And there were times, he was still excited and it was like, "Hey, there's some opportunities," and I just be like, "I have nothing to give. I have nothing to offer." Um, but it was a beautiful space to be that I knew it was needed. I recognized very quickly that the more I had the space to let it all out and to let it go and to unravel and to stop holding on to assuring everything was in order and just right and all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed and all the punctuations and all the submissions and doing everything just right. As I was letting all of that go, this expansiveness inside of myself just began to open up in this tremendous way. Um, and parts of me began to be revealed that I hadn't had an opportunity to look at in a lifetime. In a lifetime. Um, and I could say right now, like that, Kingston, New York will forever have a beyond special place in my heart. It will have uh, I'll always look on it as a place where I was able to find healing, a healing that I could not, in my current environment. Being in the Bay Area, it's one of the most intense grind, hustle cultures outside of maybe, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the boroughs in New York. Um, it, it, it's its pace does not oftentimes provide for or allow for the stillness of being a human being, a full human being. And I needed to get away. This was my journey, and I'm not saying everyone needs to do this. I wouldn't go to a client and be like, "Hey, you know what you need to do? You need to go leave everything for 6 months." But what I would tell them is to trust yourself, to trust what you are feeling, to trust what you are experiencing, and that in that trust within you, that you can choose love, you can choose a worthiness to feel loved and cared for and to heal and to restore yourself where you believe and you know that you are needing. Um, one of the things that I realized by the end of the 6 months is the more that I healed, the more that I took the time to let go and to release, the more expansive space that I found inside of me to be me, to access parts of me that were precious, that were beautiful, that were absolutely um, things that I had lost from childhood, levels of confidence in certain areas, of playfulness. And some people might be thrown off by those things because they might have always seen me as confident in some ways and playful and engaging. But there were parts of me that I did not feel the same. You can imagine being a high performing individual, but you know that you have injuries. You know that you've been working through certain things, almost like a boxer who has a great fight. And then all along, the boxer knows that, well, I had a broken hand, I had a messed up knee, right? I had a bad ankle, but all everyone else saw was the performance. And I think that for most of my life, people saw the performance and thought I was okay. I performed in a way that made them believe that I was okay. I reinforced. They'd ask me how I'm doing, and I'm good. All right. Everything's good. And within that vein of constantly trying to show up as okay, as together, holding it together for myself and others, I set up a life where I was not able to address the areas where I was not good. This morning, I just watched this highlight of the William Cepeda Lamont Roach fight. I'm into boxing, and one thing that happened was William Cepeda had lost to Shakur Stevenson, and it was a great fight, but he had to step away from boxing for a full year. which he had never done within his career. That's what he was sharing. And he said he had to look at himself honestly, and he had to do the work to really step up his game and to not necessarily from a deficit, but see the opportunities to take the time to heal, to rest, to recalibrate, and to come back as something new. And in his, fight against a Lamont Roach, I'm not sure if it was his comeback fight, but it might have been. In his fight against Lamont Roach, he absolutely dominated in a way that no one had ever seen him fight before. No one had ever seen him fight that way. No one had seen him move his feet and put together combinations and to be patient and to work levels and to do all this positioning, this footwork. He took the time to become something else. And for me, in my journey, that's what this has been, taking the time to become something else. And I think that that's the beauty of failure that I can look back on and appreciate. That my crumbling moment was not the end of, well, I'll put it this way, is a better way to put it. I would say is a better way to put it. It was a necessary end to a life that I had built so that I could become something else for the life that was to come. And that's probably the best way to probably even leave it there. Um, who I was needed to come to an end. And sometimes it doesn't always come in a convenient way. Sometimes it comes when we don't see it coming, when it's most inconvenient, when it's most crippling. But sometimes that's the catalyst to really floor us and get us to stop, to pivot, to reflect, so that we can step away in the way that we're needing, so we can become what we're needing for what is to come, instead of continuing in the vein of what was. I hope this helps somebody. Hope this video, touches someone's life. If it does, like, subscribe, the bell for notifications, all the things. But truly, I hope you all take each day as an opportunity to love on yourself, to love on someone else, to pour joy into your life, because that's what fills you to show up as your best self. And as always, to live your life to the fullest. We only get one life to live, and everyone else's is already taken. I love that line. With that, my name is Ross Nyaga. I'm a family relationship care coach, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time.